Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Rohit. Today I am going to discuss about the algorithm does not know who you are, it knows what you will do next. And it is a very powerful training and you will know how algorithm learns about you and what you can do to avoid unconscious decisions which you take every day and the practical actions for the next few days. So let's get started still till the very end. You think the algorithm knows you because you think the algorithm knows you because you told it what you like. That is only a small part of the picture. The algorithm learns from the actions you barely notice yourself. It notices when you pause but do not click like. It notices what you watch but would never share. It notices what catches you late at night but fails to interest you during the day. It notices what you claim to dislike but repeatedly engage with. You remember individual decisions. The algorithm remembers the pattern. And that difference matters because these systems do not need to understand who you truly are. They only need to become slightly better at predicting what you will do next. That is far more limited kind of intelligence, but commercially it can be incredibly powerful. You produce more data than you realize. When people think about online data, they usually think about information they deliberately provide: your name, your age, your location, the accounts you follow, the post you like, the forms you complete. But explicit information is only one layer. The more revealing layer can be your behavioral residue, the small digital traces created as you move through the platform. Every click become Every click can become a signal. Every skip can become a signal. Every reply can become a signal. Watch time can become a signal. The order in which you view content can become a signal. Leaving the platform is a signal. Returning after a notification is another signal. One action tells the system very little. You might watch a video out of genuine interest, confusion, outrage, professional curiosity, or because you put your phone down and forget it was playing. But thousands of actions begin from thousands of actions begin forming a structure. The system does not need every signal to be accurate. It can combine weak signal, compare them across time, and look for the pattern that improves its predictions. The profile does not have to explain you perfectly. It only has to make the next prediction slightly more accurate. You remember decisions, the system remembers sequence. You know yourself through the memory and narrative. You remember significant decisions and construct explanation around them. You remember why you followed someone, why you bought something, or why you spent an hour watching a particular topic. At least you remember the version of the reason that remains available afterwards. The algorithm models you differently. It does not need a personal story, it records sequences. What appeared before the click? How long did you pause? What did you watch next? Did you leave afterward? Did you return later? Did a notification bring you back? Did your behavior differ by time of day, device, topic, or emotional tone? You may forget 99 ordinary scrolling sessions because none of them felt important. But the behavioral structure across those sessions can still become useful for prediction. Then there is comparison. You compare yourself with the limited number of people you know. Recommendation system can compare your behavior with patterns found across enormous user populations. If people with behavioral histories similar to your often move towards a particular category, the system can test whether you will move there too. It does not need to know why those people behaved similarly. Pattern similarity may be enough. This is why recommendations can occasionally feel almost prophetic. The system may detect where your attention is moving before you have consciously named the interest yourself. not because it has seen your inner identity, because other with similar patterns move there first. Prediction is not understanding. This distinction is critical. Predicting behavior is not the same as understanding a person. An algorithm may know what you click without knowing why you clicked it. It may know what holds your attention without knowing whether you enjoyed it. It may know what makes you return without knowing whether returning was good for you. It can model your impulse while misunderstanding your values. Suppose you watch several videos about workplace conflict. The system may learn that conflict related content retains your attention, but it may not know whether you are dealing with the conflict, colleagues, researching an article, trying to help a friend, or simply caught in an anxious loop late at night. The behavior is visible, the meaning is not. This creates a strange trap between behavioral accuracy and human understanding. The system might become effective at predicting that you will watch another video while remaining completely wrong about what the topic means in your life. It can be accurate about your next move and wrong about your identity. That is not a minor limitation, it is the central limitation. You are not identical to the behavior that can be extracted from you under a particular set of conditions. Your impulses are part of you, they are not the whole of you. The system is running experiments. Recommendation systems do not merely store what you did. They can continually test what might work next. A new topic appears in your feed, you pause, the system records the response, a similar item appears later. You watch for longer, more related content enters the feed. From your perspective, the interest may feel as if it naturally emerged. From the system perspective, a prediction was tested and updated. This does not mean every recommendation is a sophisticated psychological experiment. Models differ across platforms, objectives, context, and users. Their predictions are frequently wrong, but the basic mechanism is powerful. Show, observe, update, show again. Research on recommender system feedback loops describe a recurring process in which system makes recommendations, collect responses, and update future recommendations using the resulting behavioral data. The complication is that the system influences the behavior it later treats as evidence, creating a loop between recommendation and response. The algorithm is not simply watching you from a distance. It is helping construct the environment in which your next action occurs. And that changes the meaning of the data. The feed does not only discover preferences. The algorithm does not merely watch your preferences. It selects part of the environment in which your next preference develops. What it shows becomes familiar. What becomes familiar becomes easier to select. What you select becomes evidence for showing you more of the same. Eventually, the system can appear to have discovered a strong preference that it may also have helped reinforce. Imagine that you watch one video about an extreme diet because the claim was ridiculous. The platform recommends another. You watch that one to compare. Soon, a meaningful percentage of your feed is built around nutrition controversy. Your original behavior may have been curiosity, but the system sees engagement. As the topic becomes more viable, you interact with it more frequently. That additional activity becomes stronger evidence that the category belongs in your feed. The loop tightens. A mild curiosity becomes a dominant recommendation category. A temporary mood becomes a persistent profile. A single anxious evening teaches a system which fears keep you watching. The feed can mistake a movement for an identity, then repetition can make the mistake harder to escape. Researchers have warned that recommender feedback loops can distort the behavioral data collected by the system and, in some settings, contribute more homogeneous recommendation or behavior. The precise effects depend on the platform, models, users, and context. So the loop should be understood as an influence rather than automatic control. Engagement is an ambiguous signal. The system has another problem. Engagement does not have one clean meaning. A click does not always mean approval, a watch time does not always mean satisfaction, a comment does not always mean enjoyment. You may engage because you disagree. You may continue watching because you are confused. You may return because you feel anxious. You may open a post because the title irritated you. Outrage is engagement, and anxiety is engagement. Confusion can be engagement. Hate watching is engagement. Compulsive checking is engagement. The platform can record the action without reliably knowing the experience behind it. That distinction becomes important whenever a system is optimized for an engagement related outcome. What captures you and what benefits you are not necessarily the same thing. A piece of content may hold your attention while making you feel worse. A notification may bring you back without providing anything you value. A controversy may generate comments while reducing the quality of the conversation. The behavioral metric can rise while the human experience deteriorates. So, when people say the algorithm gives you what you want, the claim is incomplete. The algorithm may give you what your behavior suggests you are likely to engage with. That is not always what you consciously want, and it may have little relationship with the life you want to live, and it may have little relationship with the life you want to build. The privacy problem is inference. Privacy is no longer only about what you disclose, it is also about what can be inferred from what you disclose. You do not necessarily have to state a sensitive fact directly for a model to estimate it. Ordinary digital behavior can correlate with demographic, consumer, political, or psychological characteristics. A widely cited 2013 study involving more than 58,000 volunteers demonstrated that Facebook like records could be useful to statistically predict a range of sensitive personal attributes. The important principle was not that one isolated like revealed an entire personality. Predictive power came from patterns across behavioral records and populations. That changes the privacy question. The old question was, what information did I give them? The newer question is, what information can be estimated from the traces I left behind? A harmless action may remain harmless in isolation, but when combined with browsing patterns, timing, location, signals, purchases, social connection, and thousands of other data points, it may contribute to a revealing profile. This is not certainty. Models are probabilistic. They can be wrong, biased, incomplete, or context dependent, but certainty may not be required. A commercially useful probability can be enough to rank an advertisement, recommend a product, select a notification, or decide which content appears first. The system does not need to determine exactly who you are. It needs only enough confidence to choose what to test next. The behavioral version of you. Every platform ends up working with a simplified version of you, not your complete identity or model. That model may contain preferences, probabilities, associations, engagement patterns, and predicted responses. It is built from what the platform can observe and whether additional information is available to the system. The problem is that observable behavior is context sensitive. The version of you scrolling while focused is different from the version scrolling while exhausted. The version of you using a platform for work is different from the version seeking distraction. A version of you during a temporary crisis is different from the version that appears 6 months later. But the traces can accumulate into a behavioral history. So, one temporary state can influence the environment presented to your future state. Yesterday's anxiety may shape tomorrow's recommendations. Last month's obsession may continue occupying your feed after you have mentally moved on. This is why algorithmic version of you can become outdated. It remembers what you repeatedly did. It does not automatically understand who you are trying to become. Small friction creates large direction. An algorithm does not have to control you to influence you. It only needs to make one option easier, more visible, or more emotionally compelling than the alternatives. Think about how little effort it takes to accept the next recommended video. You do not have to search. You do not have to decide what you want. You do not have to compare alternatives. The system places something in front of you, you only have to continue. That reduction in friction matters. Human behavior is shaped by defaults, visibility, timing, and convenience. An item placed first receives a different opportunity than an item hidden behind a search. A video that begins automatically creates a different decision than one you must deliberately select. None of this removes your agency. You can close the app, you can search for something else, you can turn off autoplay, unfollow accounts, or ignore the recommendations. But agency is not exercised in a vacuum. It operates inside an environment where some actions are easier than others. The algorithm's influence often lives inside that difference. Not command, friction. Not total control, repeated nudging. You are training the system. Every repeated interaction teaches the platform something. That does not mean you need to become paranoid about every click. The goal is not to hide every signal or achieve perfect digital invisibility. The goal is to stop unconsciously training system against your own interest. If you repeatedly comment on content that enrages you, the system may receive evidence that this topic keeps you active. If you continuously rewatch something you claim to dislike, your behavior can outweigh your stated judgment. If you accept every recommendation placed in front of you, your feed will increasingly reflect what captured you, not necessarily what you deliberately chose. So begin treating engagement as feedback. Before interacting, ask, do I want more of this? That is a better question than, do I have a reaction to this? A reaction can be automatic, a preference should be examined. You can be curious about something without wanting it to dominate your environment. You can disagree with something without feeding it another comment. You can feel an urge to continue without deciding that continuing serves you. Once you see engagement as instruction, your behavior becomes more deliberate. Build the feed you want to live inside. Your feed is part of your environment, and like any environment, it shapes what feels normal, urgent, interesting, and available. So do not curate it only around who you currently are. Curate part of it around who you are trying to become. Follow people and sources that supports the skill you want to develop. Search intentionally instead of relying entirely on recommendations. Use not interested, unfollow, reset, and history management tools where a platform provides them. Avoid feeding outrage loops through repeated viewing and reactive comments. Periodically inspect your recommendations as if you were examining a psychological mirror. What does the feed appear to believe about you? Does it think you are interested in learning or only stimulation? Does it think you value thoughtful analysis or permanent conflict? Does it keep presenting an old version of you? Does the feed reflect your values or does it reflect the impulses most easily activated when you are tired? Do not moralize the answer, use it as data. If the system has built the wrong model, change the evidence. Search for better material, engage deliberately, remove sources that repeatedly pull you into unwanted states, create pauses between recommendations so you can decide what you actually want next. You are not trying to defeat the algorithm, you are reducing the distance between your conscious values and your digital behavior. The choice before the next choice. The most important digital decision may happen before you open the platform. If you enter without an intention, the system supplies one. You open the app because you have 30 seconds. The feed decides what those 30 seconds become. 30 seconds become 5 minutes, 5 minutes becomes an emotional state. That state influences what you notice and select one. So create a reason before you enter. Are you opening the platform to answer a message, to find specific information, to publish something, to relax for a defined amount of time? The goal is not rigid control, it is conscious entry. Because once you enter a recommendation environment without a target, you become more dependent on whatever target the system has been optimized to pursue. You start reacting rather than choosing, and every reaction becomes new data. Let's review what we have covered so far. The algorithm does not know you the way a close friend knows you. It does not know your private meeting, your moral values, or the life you want to build. It knows your repetitions. It does not remember your intentions, it remembers your actions. It does not need to understand your reason, it needs only to improve the probability of predicting your response. That prediction is built from digital traces, patterns across times, comparison with other users, and repeated tests of what might capture you next. Then the prediction changes what you see. What you see influences what you select. What you select becomes new evidence. This creates a feedback loop in which the system can both discover and reinforce behavior. The unsettling truth is not that machine understand human being perfectly. Perfect understanding is unnecessary for effective prediction. The algorithm may not know who you truly are, but if you keep behaving unconsciously, it can learn which version of you is easiest to activate. So let's talk about actions. Spend 10 minutes examining your recommendations on the platform you see most. Write down the three strongest themes. Ask what behavior taught the system to emphasize them and whether those themes reflect your values, temporary emotions, or automatic impulses. For the next 7 days, stop rewarding content you do not want repeated. Use the available feedback controls, unfollow misaligned sources, and deliberately search for material connected to the person you want to become. Give the system better evidence. Before opening a feed, name your purpose and set a stopping point. When you catch yourself accepting whatever appears next, pause and ask, did I choose this or was it simply the easiest option? That pause restores the one thing prediction system cannot guarantee, your conscious decision. Hope you like this content. If you want me to cover any other topic, please let me know in the comment section. Until then, see you in the next video.